Judge us at the end of the transfer window. That's what the West Ham board told us lot at the start of the transfer window. Now, personally, I think you have to wait until the end of the season to do it. I've learned the hard way because this big gob's got me in trouble before where the window's shut. I thought it's good and I've said, brilliant, what a fantastic transfer window, and all the signings have been crap. Now, on the face of it, the likes of, say, Magassa and Diouf look like good signings, but the reality is we won't actually know whether they're good signings or not until the end of the season. However, that's not to say that you don't have an opinion or feelings right now in regards to West Ham's transfer window. Of course you do. It's normal. It's natural. I have them. I'm just not going to judge it until the end of the season. But what I will do is discuss it. And what I will do is review it and give predictions and opinions perhaps on what's happened in the transfer window. So let's do that today because it makes sense to do it today now that the window's closed. I want to see you guys get involved in the comments below. Don't be shy. Let me know what you think of West Ham's transfer window. Is there anything you like, anything you dislike, anything you think we're missing? Give a score out of 10 if you want. You decide what opinion you can give, but get involved in the comments. I'm looking forward to catching up with you all. Now, don't say I don't spoil you here on this channel. Got 6 graphics made up for you today. Admittedly, they're quite basic and simple, but I put a little bit of effort in. Plus, we're going to get the tactics board out towards the end of the video as well, because we're going to have a look at all the incomings collectively and individually, the outgoings, the money spent or saved rather, plus how the squad looks ahead of the new Premier League season. There may still be a couple of changes, but we'll discuss it as we go. Right then, let's start with the incomings. El Hadji, Malik, Diouf, Kyle Walker-Peters, Callum Wilson. We also got Mads Hermansen. We also signed Fernandes, Magassa and Igor. Now, Diouf so far looks like a really good signing. I'm really happy with what I've seen from him. His crossing is a bit of a cheat code so far, isn't it? I don't think we've utilised it enough. I'd like to see us get him involved more in games. But I do think him playing left back rather than wing back might actually give him an advantage. I think with this back 3/5 system, when we're playing the ball about in midfield and at the back, he's already sort of in a left wing position. He's already up against the last man of defence for the opposition. I think it's difficult to get the ball out to him. I think we've struggled to get the ball out to him. But when he's playing left back, he's going to have that space to run into. He's going to have that player ahead of him to help him out and drag players away. So far for Diouf, I like it. Kyle Walker-Peters, I think is a great signing. I'm a fan of Kyle Walker-Peters. I have been for numerous seasons. To get him on a free transfer is a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. Callum Wilson, I'm going to hold my hands up, already better than I expected. When I watched him last season for Newcastle, I thought he looked absolutely finished at this level. He didn't look good at all for Newcastle. So far, when he came on against Chelsea, I thought he did all right, but I thought he was excellent against Nottingham Forest. I still have some reservations in regards to will he be better as sort of a super sub. I think maybe that will be his best role. Although I think he's done enough already to warrant him to start against Spurs. But so far, so good. I've been impressed, actually. And I wasn't keen on that signing whatsoever. Hermansen, it's the opposite, really. I was delighted when we signed him. 2 games, 2 nightmares from him. A very comfortable game for him at Nottingham Forest, but he needed that. I still think he's a good goalkeeper. I still think he will be a good signing. I'm still happy with the signing of Hermansen. I can appreciate and admit that his two of his 3 games so far have not been good enough. The one against Sunderland, that mistake surprised me because that's not really an error I would associate with him. You know, not saving a shot from an angle which shouldn't really be hitting the back of the net. I think he tried to be too fancy and push it away and got it wrong. Against Chelsea, not really surprised because I do think, and I did think, his weakness was dealing with crosses. So that aspect of his game doesn't surprise me, but I think distribution wise he's looked quite comfortable so far. I'm okay with what I've seen. Obviously it's going to be jury out, but I can understand why a lot of people aren't keen on the signing. I completely get it, but for me, I'm a fan of him. Fernandes, also a fan of. Thought he had a really good debut at Nottingham Forest. Excited to see what he can bring. Magassa, don't have an opinion on him. Never heard of him until we were linked to him, so I remain sort of neutral on that. But I'm looking forward to discovering him. As for Igor, I'm not too keen. Hasn't really impressed me at Brighton. Statistically, it looks quite worrying. Speaking to Matthew, the Brighton fan, on the deadline day stream last night, sort of said what I already thought my opinion was. He wasn't communicated prior, but what he said was already my opinion. So that's worried me a little bit. However, he's been brought in to give cover rather than competition, I think. I don't think he's here to nick Max Kilman's spot. I think he's here to step in as and when Kilman's unavailable, which is very rare. Kilman has an excellent injury record. Now, we know what's going to happen now, don't we? Anyway, that's West Ham's incomings. Individually, I'm happy. Collectively, I think we're a little bit light in a couple of places, but we'll do that when we get to the squad. For the players that have been sold or loaned out, obviously Alvarez went off to Fenerbahce, Emerson went to Marseille, Cornet ended up joining Genoa in the end, although what West Ham have received for Cornet is not very much. I think they're paying about a third of his wages. Mohammed Kudus obviously went to Spurs, Aguerd's gone to Marseille, and Orford joined Stevenage on loan. In terms of the outgoings, I'm okay with it. Alvarez, I'm okay with. Emerson, it's a bit sad how it ended, but the options at left back I'm happy with. Cornet, yeah, we're not going to use him. It's best to just get him gone. Kudus, it's disappointing to see him go, but he didn't want to stay at West Ham. Aguerd, I'm pleased to see go, and Orford, I'm pleased to see go, because I think he'll hopefully get a lot of minutes at Stevenage and have a good season, and next summer become an option for West Ham, or to step up to a championship club for next season. In terms of the players that left West Ham that were released, also had Adam Creswell, Mikel Antonio, Danny Ings, Lucas Fabianski, Kurt Zouma, Vladimir Soufal, and then obviously we had Carlos Soler and Evan Ferguson on loan last season. Here we go, money-wise. So we spent about 125 million. Now that includes the 35 million for Todibo, as his loan was made into a permanent transfer this summer. We received 75 million for Aguerd, Emerson and Kudus. Wages saved. Now I put 600 grand a week. That's I say approximately. It's more speculation. If you can work it out yourself. If you write down what you believe each player was on and what you think each player will be on in terms of outgoings versus incomings, I don't think we'll be too far apart. I think if you're being kind in terms of money saved, you'll be maybe £750,000 a week. We're better off. If you're going to be harsh and say that we've not saved very much, I think you're still going to be down at £250,000. That we're actually still £250,000 a week off the wage bill. So our wage bill has reduced drastically, I think, off the back of those players leaving and these players coming in, which is one of the advantages of bringing in players like El Hadji, Malik, Diouf and Magassa, whose wages will be lesser than the players they're replacing. Diouf will be on less money than Creswell and Emerson, not combined, just individually. Magassa will be on less money than Edson Alvarez. So in terms of wages, it's looking quite good for West Ham, actually. It looks like we've saved a fair bit of money there. Now, before I get on to the next thing, so we've done the finances, we've done the players in and out. We're going to move on to the impact and how the squad currently looks. But before I do that, I just want to point direction of our online store where you can pick up a print of this painting. Canning Town Lane painted Lucas Paqueta's celebration from the goal against Nottingham Forest at the weekend. And you can order it via our store, but you need to order it today. The plan was to take the store down last night, but there's still a few bits on there that I'm hoping to offload because I don't want to bin it, but at the same time, I don't want to keep it in here anymore. I want it gone. And that includes these jumpers. That's why I'm wearing this jumper, and that's why I am warm recording this video, because it is cozy in here. But put it on, modelling it, hoping some people go, oh, I fancy one of them. There's not many left. But if you go to hammerschatstore.com, there's a few bits and pieces left in the sale, a few t-shirts. These jumpers haven't been on sale until today. I've knocked a few quid off them, just try and get them gone. There's not loads left. I'd love to just sell them and get out of here. But that Paqueta print, you can pre-order. All the details are on the website. If you pre-order it, it'll be with you in a couple of weeks, but you'll be supporting Canning Town Lane as well as Hamish Chat. The store will be coming off. This time tomorrow, the store won't be online anymore, so it's the final 24 hours. I appreciate you be thinking, hang on, you've been saying this for a while. I promise you it's going. There's just a few dribs and drabs I'm going to try and get rid of, plus that Paqueta print wasn't on the store because Len didn't paint it, obviously. It didn't exist until Sunday, so it's been quite an impulsive thing to go online. It's been quite popular. So anyway, hammerschatstore.com. Right then, the impact. One of the criticisms about West Ham last season, one of the reasons, an indicator, I think is a better word to use, one of the indicators for West Ham perhaps being quite slow last season is the age of the squad. Last season we had the oldest average age for the starting 11 in the Premier League last season. So you can see there, the second column in from the right-hand side, 28.2. So that was the average age of the players that started for West Ham last season. So we used 27 players across the season. The average age of the squad was 28. The average age of the starting 11 was 28.2. So obviously we had a couple of younger players like Guilherme, who would be bringing the average age of the squad down, but because he wasn't starting, the average age of the squad was a little bit higher. But then we were utilising certain players like Lucas Fabianski and Aaron Creswell last season, who'd have been knocking that up. But let me just quickly remind you, 28.2. But we'll take a look at this season so far. We're fourth. We've come down to 27.3 for the average age of the starting 11. Again, the average age of the squad, as you can see, has come down drastically. So last season, average age of the squad, which is the middle column there, is 28.0. So if you keep your eye on that column, this season now is 26.5. We have reduced the average age of our squad quite drastically, and the average age of our starting 11 has come down. And that is whilst playing the likes of Niklas Füllkrug, James Ward-Prowse. We haven't yet played Magassa. We've not seen Ole Scales play yet. Obviously, Fernandes has had one game. Somerville hasn't played yet, who's obviously below the average age. So that age of the starting 11 is possibly going to come down a little bit more over the next few weeks as well. But that's something we had to do. We had to sort of take a look at the squad and try and get that average age down. Potter spoke about wanting to bring in younger players. And when you look at some of the players that we released in particular, you know, Creswell, Antonio, Ings, Fabianski, Zouma wasn't here last season, and then Soufal, all well in their 30s, all gone. And you look at the players that's come in, Diouf, 20 years old, Walker-Peters, 27, 28, Wilson's in his 30s, Hermansen's 25, 26, young for a keeper, Fernandes, Magassa, both young players as well. So we've done well to bring that average age down, which is what I think the club were hoping to do. Now, in terms of how the squad looks, let's get the tactics board out. The claret counters are just those that started against Nottingham Forest, and the blue counters are everyone else. So our goalkeeping options, got Hermansen, Areola and Fodringham. I'm happy with that. I think I'm a big fan of him. I'm not his biggest fan, but he's a good goalkeeper to have around. And Wes is fine. We don't need to play Wes. If we need to play Wes, something's gone wrong. So I'm happy with that trio as our goalkeepers. Left backs, we've obviously got Diouf and Scales. I'm happy with that. Two young players. All good. I mean, last season, while Scales was here, the two main left backs were Emerson and Creswell. So we've drastically reduced the age profiles of our two left backs. Moving into centre backs, obviously we've got Max Kilman, who I'd imagine will be in the team most weeks. Now Igor's joined in. We've got Mavropanos, who's just nicked Tadebo's spot, but he's obviously still here after signing on the permanent. This part of the squad makes me nervous. I'm not going to lie. These centre backs, I'm not too sure. It feels a bit light. I would have expected. Well, not light in terms of quantity, in terms of quality. I think they're all at best average Premier League centre backs, possibly even worse. Yesterday, I was hoping we'd bring in a good centre back, someone that's good enough to come into our starting 11. I'm not sure we've done that. We've got Igor in, so in terms of quantity, we're okay. We've got 4 senior centre backs, so that's fine. But it's just the quality. I would have liked someone better. So I'm a little bit concerned about that area of the pitch. I am not concerned about the right backs. So Wan-Bissaka and Walker-Peters, two fantastic right backs. I think they're both good, solid players to have, and they can also both cover left back as well. So if these two youngsters were struggling for form for whatever reason, we could always just move Walker-Peters over to left back and continue with Wan-Bissaka at right back or vice versa. We've got these two. I'm really happy with these two options in the squad. I'm really, really happy. Moving into midfield then, and this is where we could still see change. So we've got Guido Rodriguez. Now, there are some transfer windows still open. So the Turkish window's open and the Saudi window's open. It's possible that he still leaves. We'll have to wait and see. But even though he's still a West Ham player, I'm not convinced he will still be a West Ham player this time next month. I think there's a possibility he goes. Now, Andy Irving was strongly linked with a move away. I think it's very unlikely we will see him leave, because I don't think he'll move to the Saudi League or the Turkish League. I might be wrong, but I think there's a chance Rodriguez will. There was talks that we were trying to sell him to Saudi, but he didn't want to go. He wanted to go to Spain only. Well, that's off the table now. His options currently are Saudi or West Ham. So wait and see for him. But he's still here. Potts is still here. Obviously, we've added Magassa. I'm looking forward to seeing a bit of him. Ward-Prowse is obviously here. Fernandes has come in here. I'm just going to pop him in as a central midfielder for now. But I think we might see him out on the left a little bit. But we'll leave Fernandes here. And obviously, we've still got Thomas Souček. I wanted a midfield rebuild. You could argue we've done that. Obviously, Alvarez leaving the club and then bringing in Fernandes and Magassa. It's hard for me to say yes or no because I don't know this guy. I've never heard of him, right? I've seen what people are saying about him, and I'm hopeful that he'll come good and he'll be a really good number 6 and he'll fill this part of the team. But that's all it is right now, hopes. That's why judge him at the end of the transfer window. I think sometimes you've got to judge him at the end of the season, and Magassa is one of those players. I'm going to be very patient with him. 21 years old, coming to a new league. It's going to be difficult. I think there's going to be a sort of a bedding in period. I'd imagine he'll be in and out the team. I don't think he'll start for a little while, and he'll be coming off the bench, I expect. But even when he does start, it wouldn't surprise me if he struggles a little bit to get up to the pace of the Premier League, and then he has to come out and stuff like that. I'm okay with it. You can't have a whole team of players like that, but we don't. So, but 1 or 2 players that just need a little bit of patience, more than fine. Really pleased with Fernandes. Obviously, Somerville buzzing to see him back. I hate the phrase like "can you sign him," but it sort of is, isn't it? When Potter rocked up that game against Aston Villa, he was a big part of playing right wing back. Got injured, and obviously we've not seen him again since. But he just adds something that no one else has got in this team. That running, that pace, changed the game on Sunday. He's going to be a great option. Hopefully he can stay fit and have a good season. Obviously we kept Paqueta, which is a bit of a success in its own right, I suppose, of the transfer window. Earthy stuck around despite some loan options, which I'm pleased about. I'm looking forward to seeing him. Also, we've got Bowen. Guilherme would like to see more of. I like what I've seen, just want to see more of him. Strikers. Now, this is where I get a bit nervous. Now, individually, they're all right. Right? Füllkrug, I think, is a good striker. Marshall looks like a good young striker. Wilson, who, like I said, I'm fickle, whatever. I don't really care. If it makes me fickle, it makes me fickle, right? Didn't want him, but I've been impressed with him so far. So in terms of that, I'm pleased with. But I still have reservations over the fitness of our strikers. Füllkrug and Wilson are both quite injury prone. So you could easily see a scenario where they're both injured, and then you've either got to play Marshall or you've got to move Bowen up front, and then you've got to move maybe Guilherme will get a game, possibly not. You might see Somerville come over, Fernandes on the left. That's possibly more likely. That striking part of the team here, it just makes me a little bit nervous. I would have liked one more. I'd have liked someone. Like I said, my issue isn't quantity. I think having 2 senior strikers and a young striker when you don't have European football, I think that's good. That sounds good to me. It's just 2 older, injury-prone strikers. That's my issue. If you were to take one of them out and put in someone else in there who's either younger or a bit older and a bit more established, like a 28-year-old or something, I'd be happy. But we don't have that. So that part makes me nervous, and this part makes me nervous. The rest of the team, I'm quite happy with. I think we've got some good depth. I think the squad is actually better than what we had last season, dare I say it. We've got rid of Soufal and taken in Walker Peters. I consider that an upgrade. Hermansen on Fabianski, not yet. I don't think that's an upgrade yet, but he's young for a goalkeeper. If he can do what Fabianski did in terms of performance levels, then that will be an outstanding signing. Left back, obviously Emerson and Creswell's gone, and we've got these 2. Well, Scarles has stepped up a bit. We've got Diouf in, which I'm happy with. The defence, it certainly hasn't got any worse. It's just stayed the same. I think that's the problem. Magerd wasn't here last season, so we've added Igor, so you could argue it's got better. Midfield, pleased with the signing of Fernandes. We've retained Paqueta, obviously we've lost Kudus. But I think, generally speaking, I'm quite happy with the squad. I just think a better centre-back would have been good, and a striker, because I'm just a bit worried about relying on those 2 in particular. I feel like that's what we're going to do, rely on Füllkrug and Wilson to stay fit. Now, one of the advantages is those youngsters. I've been wanting to see some of the academy players get an opportunity. Whether they will or not remains to be seen, but they've certainly got a chance. Ollie Scarles, Freddie Potts, George Earthy and Callum Marshall. I think that's brilliant. 4 players from the academy in the first team at West Ham now. Like I said, they may not start, and I've been disappointed with Potts' lack of minutes so far, but I like to think, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, I like to think if we can get some points on the board quickly after the international break, if we're sitting mid-table after Christmas and we're comfortable, I like to think he might start to introduce the youngsters a little bit. Earthy might pick up more minutes, Potts might pick up more minutes because we'll be safer. Whereas at the minute, we're not anywhere near that. And also, I think he's feeling the pressure a little bit. So I think that's why he's turning towards his senior players. But even that, we're still playing Diouf. We're still playing Fernandes, 2 young players. We're still playing Hermansen, who's young for the goalkeeper. So although he's not playing academy players, he is still playing young players. So I'm happy overall with the inclusion of the academy players. I like that. They've got a chance now. Do well in training, and if you get some minutes on the pitch, make sure you take it. That part's I'm unsure about, whether Potter will give them a real chance or not. I have to wait and see. I need to be convinced, because at this point I'm on the side of no, but I appreciate we're only 3 league games into the season. So centre-back, if you got me a Charlie Creswell and a striker yesterday, even just like Boniface on loan, I'd been really happy with our transfer window. So at the minute, I'm meh. It's not disaster. It's not perfect. I'm somewhere in the middle. I like some of the business we've done. And to be fair, there's not many business we've done that I dislike. It's the business we didn't do that I dislike. Hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, there you go. That's my thoughts on the transfer window. Feeling pretty positive overall. It's just lacking, I think. And that's frustrating for me. And it does worry me. In terms of my sort of prediction for West Ham this season, before the ball was kicked, it was 15th. And I said it depended on the window. Well, I think we've almost stayed neutral to some extent. I'm going to still say 15th. I don't think we'll go down, but I think it's a possibility we could go down. That's how I'd sum it up. I think a very good season would be just finishing in the top half. I struggle to see it though. But hopefully we can stay away from relegation battle. I'm still convinced it's Burnley, Leeds and one other. And I think it's between Brentford, Wolves, West Ham and Sunderland. I think there's 4 teams and 1 relegation spot. That's how I'm viewing it. I viewed it like that before the ball was kicked at any game this season. After what I've seen from, and it's only 3 games, and the transfer window, I'm not changing my mind. I think it's still going to look a little bit like that. But I'm feeling okay. Let me know how you guys think, though. Let me know all your thoughts on the transfer window in the comments below. I'll be back later on to catch up with you all. But thank you very much for joining me. If you've already dropped a like on the video, thank you. I appreciate you. If not, please do so. Subscribe to Hammers Chat. And I'll catch up with you tomorrow. HammersChatStore.com. I promise you it's the final 24 hours. But if you want a print of that Paqueta celebration, make sure you grab it now. HammersChatStore.com.